Okay, so this is the video for my open chords number 1 in G major plus the B minor chord. So this is just for beginner students to help with learning open chords. And it's also for the parents as well, in case you want to learn these chords to play along with your child or children. And it's also so that if parents want to learn how to play open chords so that they can accompany their children while their children play melodies. For example, if your son or daughter is learning the melody Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, you can also learn how to accompany them on guitar as well, like play the chords behind your child playing the melody. So anyway, the chords that we're learning are G, D, C, E minor, A minor, and then the B minor chord. Now there are obviously a lot of chord books out there and videos on how to play chords. So the reason why I chose these specific chords, as opposed to what you would normally see like in a beginner guitar book or video, is you've already got that, and these chords are what you'll normally see with the melodies that we're learning for beginner students. Like a lot of the nursery rhymes and traditional songs, we play them in the key of G, and these are the chords you'll often see in them. And plus there's heaps of other like pop songs and so forth which use pretty much these chords specifically, either in G major or its relative minor, E minor. So in the future, I'm probably going to write like open chords number 2 in E minor, and it'll just have the chords in a different row, you know, or in a different sequence. But obviously, like I'll be bringing all those other chords in later, like for instance E, A major, D minor, etc. But that'll come later. This is just the beginning part, and so as I said, it's for beginner students learning how to play open chords. It's for the parents to learn how to play those open chords as well, and for any classroom teachers who want to learn this as well. If you're thinking of like learning guitar or using it for one of your classes as well. So anyway, I've written them pretty simply, like just with crotchet beats. So like here, like this. Moving to the next chord. So very basic, but you know, you wouldn't always do that. You might do that behind your child playing a melody, you know, just to help them keep time and so forth. But you know, you will mix up the rhythm. Like for instance, I'm going to go through all of these examples, playing it the way I've written it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the second example, I'll do a different strum just so you can hear it more in the context of how you might have like a guitarist playing behind a singer, or a singer slash guitar player, someone accompanying themselves on guitar while they sing. So the first one is just the chords G to D. So I'm going to play that 4 times through. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's just in the PDF. And I should have just gone through how to like finger the chords as well. So I'll do that again. But anyway, G, you put your middle finger here on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. You put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and then your 3rd or little finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. So that's how you do a G chord. I would have gone through this in the lesson with you, but I'm just saying it again, and also just to help any parents or teachers who might want to look at this. Now the D, you put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the third string, your third finger on the third fret of the second string, and then your middle finger on the second fret of the first string, and you just strum from the fourth string. Now I'm going to do that chord progression again, just going using a different strumming sequence. So down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And obviously, just to reiterate, there is an accompanying PDF with this. Now, just to keep things, I'll just keep explaining and re-explaining things if need be in this video. So the next one we have is G to C. So it's just the G chord to the C chord. So once again, G, you put your middle finger on the third fret of the sixth string. You put your first finger on the second fret of the fifth string. You put your third finger on the third fret of the first string. So that's your G. And then the C chord, you have to like switch totally. You have your first finger on the first fret of the second string. You have your middle finger on the second fret of the fourth string, and then you have your third finger on the third fret of the fifth string, and you just strum from the fifth string. All right, so I'm going to go through that chord progression 4 times, just using crotchets. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum pattern 1, 2, 3, 4. So obviously things you can do is you don't have to like immediately play along with this video. You can stop the video and practice as much as you need to until you're ready to play along with it at speed. And you can even slow it down. YouTube has a facility where you can either make the track or video go faster or slower. So you can use that as well. So anyway, the next one we've got is number 3. This one will go G, C, G, D, or G 4 times, C 4 times, G 4 times, and then D 4 times. And this is actually what you would call a 1-4-1-5 progression. I'll just briefly explain that. So in the key of G major, you have G is the 1 chord, A minor is the 2 chord, B minor is the 3 chord, C is the 4 chord, D is the 5 chord, E minor is the 6 chord, and then you also have a chord called F sharp diminished or F sharp half diminished. That's the 7 chord. We're not going to be learning that one today. So anyway, without further ado, exercise number 3. So G, C, G, and then D. And then we're going to finish on G. So once again, G, middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. C, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, first finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then D, oh, and that one you only strum from the 5th. D, first finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then middle finger on the second fret of the first string, and you strum from the fourth string. So, all right, first run through just using crotchets. 1, 2, 3, 4. The alternate strum pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, number 4. So this is just going from C to D. So you're just practicing the C chord to the D chord. So once again, C, third finger on the third fret of the fifth string, middle finger on the second fret of the fourth string, and first finger on the first fret of the second string, strum from the fifth string. And then D, first finger on the second fret of the third string, third finger on the third fret of the second string, and middle finger on the second fret of the first string, strum at 4. So the first one, just crotchets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just finish on C there. So this one will now, we'll do the alternate strum. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so number 5. Now this one we're learning a new chord. We start with the G, and then we're going to go to the 6 minor chord. So we start with G, which is, as we've been saying, middle finger on the third fret of the 6th string, first finger on the second fret of the 5th string, third finger on the third fret of the first string. So that's your G, strum all strings. Now what you do with the E minor is you leave the first finger where it is, you take your middle and your third finger off, so leave the first pretty much where it is on that fret, and then you put your middle finger on the second fret of the 4th string. So you might have to slide it up a little bit to give more room for that middle finger to get there, but it's pretty much just staying on the 2nd fret, whilst the middle finger joins it on the 2nd fret, but on the 4th string. So so E minor, first finger stays on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, middle finger goes on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So okay, we're going to go through this, and we're going to play G 4 times, E minor 4 times. Crotchets first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum. 1, 2, 3, 4. I should mention this too. If you're doing it with the alternative strum, just remember I may have already spoken to my students about this in the lessons, but when you're doing strum patterns like that, sometimes the last strum of a particular chord, well, that's probably a better example would be like going from G to C. The last strum of G will probably either be muted most of the time, or you'll just play all the strings open because that gives you time to go to the next chord for when you're playing guitar. Sometimes, you can do it where you're playing G on the last and so quickly going, very, very quickly going to the C chord, but it doesn't happen as normally as you might think. A lot of singer guitarists, and also when you're accompanying on guitar, it happens so quick, or you're muting the strings, or the open strings are so quick when going to the next chord, you don't really notice it. It's the whole thing that matters generally. You still want your timing to be, correct. You want to have good rhythm and good timing, but in the big scheme of things, the rhythm is more important sometimes than getting the chord, on the 4 and, or the 4 and on the last, the second half of the last beat. So oftentimes you'll hear guitarists doing stuff like this. It just makes it easier. You can still try to get it, but it's in the big scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Like if you're doing something like more jazzy stuff, of course you're trying to almost play more like a piano. Etc. when you're playing those upper structure chords. But anyway, moving right along, we're going to look at I think it's number 6. Yep. So anyway, number 6 is G 4 times, C 4 times, D 4 times, and then back to G, and then we start it all over again. Sometimes this is more common than you think, going from like a 1. So this is a 1 4 5 1 chord progression. And then it starts all over again, and finishing on the 1 chord and then starting again on the 1 chord is pretty common. All right. So anyway, we're going to start with the crotchets, and I think at this point I'll just go straight into the chord progression. I won't bother saying how to fret the chords anymore. I think you should definitely have it by now. And obviously, stop the recording and practice by yourself if you need to. So anyway, exercise number 6, G, C, D, G. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second time. Third time. Fourth and last. All right, with the alternate strum pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so this next one is a 1, 6 minor, 4, 5 chord progression. This is G, E minor, C, and then D, and then it starts all over again. Now, I will say how to fret the chords again for this one in particular, just to have a run through again, but just because it's a different sequence of chords. So we have the G, and as we know, middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. And then we go to our E minor chords, so we leave our 1st finger where it is, but take all the other ones off. So our 1st finger stays on the 1st fret of the A string, or on the 5th string. Slides a little bit to make way so our middle finger can go on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Now, when going from an E minor to a C chord, what we do now is we leave our middle finger where it is. We take our 1st finger off, we leave our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, but then we put our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and then our 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. So obviously we've done that before and it's exactly the same. It's just like going from an E minor to a C. Sometimes it's easier just leaving the middle finger where it is and then putting the other fingers where they need to be. So once again, the E minor, you leave the middle finger where it is on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, lift our 1st finger, and then we put our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and then our 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. And then of course we go to the D, so that we have to lift all our fingers off. 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. And obviously strum from the 4th string. So anyway, we're going to go through exercise number 7 and play that 4 times, just crotchets first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second time. Third time. Fourth and last. Finish on G. Okay, now we're going to do it with the alternate strum pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we've got a new chord, A minor, and this is exercise or chord progression number 8. So it's A minor to C. Now, the way we do the A minor, and it's actually quite easy going from an A minor to a C or vice versa. I could have done it either way. So the way we do A minor is we put our 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, our 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So, and we strum from the 5th string. So that's our A minor. So once again, 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and you strum from the 5th. Now to go to C, all you have to do is lift your 3rd finger from the 2nd fret of the 3rd string and move it to the 3rd fret of the 5th string and strum from the 5th. So it's that simple. You just do A minor, lift one finger, the 3rd finger, and move it to the 3rd fret of the 5th string. So anyway, we'll go through this now. So first run through, just crotchets. 1, 2, 3, 4. With the alternate strum pattern, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the next one is just using the minor chords, A minor and E minor. So this is on exercise or chord progression number 9, going from our A minor to our E minor. Now you can do it two different ways. We've already spoken how to do the A minor. And then you can either just leave the middle finger where it is, which is on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and then just put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string and leaving the middle finger where it is. And that's the way to do an E minor. But another way that a lot of people do it is doing our E minor how we would regularly do it. First on the first finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, strum from the 5th. And then we just move our middle finger, like lift our whole hand up and put the middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string and our 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And then the first finger is just up in the air. You don't have to place it anywhere. And just do the E minor that way. It doesn't really matter, it's personal preference. And then doing the E minor the way you have been, or doing A minor and then moving the whole hand there. And just only using the middle and the 3rd finger. So you can, it doesn't really matter, whatever feels best to you. So anyway, we're going to do this number 9, exercise or chord progression number 9, crotchets first, A minor to E minor, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to do it with the alternative strum pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. Moving right along now to page number 2. This is where we're going to learn the B minor chord. So anyway, the way we're going to do the B minor chord here, we're just going to strum it from the 4th string. We're not going to do the full bar chord, B minor bar chord. We're just going to do the part of it that's on the top 4 strings. And the way we finger that is we put our first finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. We put our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then we put our little finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and then our 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. I'll go through that again. First finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, little finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and then 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. And we just strum from the 4th string. So that's our B minor chord. And then we just go back to the G, which we know how to do already. So anyway, we'll go through this. B minor 4 times, G 4 times. Crotchets first. 1, 2, 3, 4. that again with the alternative strum pattern. So this is exercise or chord progression number 10. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so chord progression number 11. So this is going to be B minor to D. So B minor to D. So we're just strumming from the 4th string. So just going back through that. So B minor, first finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, little finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. And then we go to D. So what we have to do is pretty much lift all our fingers up, and then first finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. There is other ways of doing D depending on what song you're playing. You can do that, like if you wanted to, if you were barring, you could do that. Or also, I still feel more comfortable doing it that way, but an alternative to what I was doing is playing the B minor chord like that, like how we have been, and then for the D, just barring your finger across the 2nd fret of the top 3 strings, and then only putting your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Like, that's an alternative way of doing it. There are times when you will have to do a D chord like that, you know. Etc. So I mean, that's an alternative doing like that, but doing like lifting the whole hand up is fine too. That's the way I'm going to do it for this exercise. So once again, exercise number 11, B minor to D, crotchets first. 1, 2, 3, 4. This time with the alternative strum pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the last one, exercise number 12, is an 8-bar chord progression. This is utilizing all the chords we've learned. So G, E minor, C, D, G, B minor, A minor, D. And you can also think of it as a 1, 6 minor, 4, 5, 1, 3 minor, 2 minor, 5. And then back to the beginning. I'll say that again. So 1, 6 minor, 4, 5, 1, 3 minor, 2 minor, 5, and then back to 1. So anyway, first run through. I'm just going to play the chords straight off the bat. We're going to go 4 times through, crotchets first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second time. least I hope that was 4 times. All right, so yeah, and stuffed up that B minor chord, but anyway, we're gonna just run through it again, but this time with the alternative strum. As long as you can play through it, either along with the recording or by yourself, that's the most important thing. So anyway, I'm gonna do that again, but this time with the alternative strum pattern. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, well, that's all the chord progressions in that PDF. So anyway, this should just help to get you started with all of this. And a lot of these chords are just you can play a lot of songs already with these chords. And obviously we'll go through them in the lessons as well. So this is only just the first of these PDFs. So obviously there'll be more. And this should just get you on your way and get you started. Whether you're a beginner student, whether you're a parent of the beginner student, or a classroom teacher who wants to utilize the guitar more in his or her classroom teaching. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you get a lot out of it. And for my students, I'll see you in the lesson. Cheers. Bye-bye.